So we got a firewall forward video of the RV8 November 803 Delta Romeo. Give you an idea of what we've got. This is with the Lycoming, it's the IO360 parallel valve, so it should put out about 180 horsepower with the standard compression pistons that are in there. And it does have a constant speed propeller. And so just let you take a look around here, kind of describe what we have. Let's go ahead and start up here. The fuel spider up there, as well as all four of the injector lines and the servo have been completely overhauled. In fact, those are new injectors. The stainless lines going to them are not brand new, but the injectors themselves over here are. And then the spider and the servo were just overhauled when I put the engine together a few months ago. This right here is the coil pack for the SDS electronic ignition, and that drives 4 automotive spark plugs. They're 14mm spark plugs with the brass adapters going into them. The engine cools very well, exactly as you would expect. The baffling seals up really nicely, and as far as I can tell, there's no degrading leaks to it. The climb out temperatures are nearly always under 400 degrees. On a very, very hot day, if you do just a max angle climb for a sustained period of time, I've seen them climb up to 415 on the hottest cylinder, but that was really an unusual situation. Normal operations have me climbing out at about 95 to 100 knots and easily keep the temperatures under 400 and usually significantly under. The bottom plugs are fired by a slick mag. This is a recently purchased overhauled unit from Kelly, and it only has about 30 hours on it right now. And it fires 18mm automotive plugs in the bottom. The 18mm plugs don't need an adapter. These are special lines that have been made with some instructions from G3I to be able to fire those. And they're of a similar temperature range that you get from the Champion plugs that are supposed to go in there. And I have not had any trouble with those either on this plane or on the 6A. And I use the exact same setup on that. It really works well. And they're very inexpensive, so you can just throw them away every time you change the oil and put new ones in there and never have anything to worry about. I've got the air oil separator here on the firewall, and that goes to one of the anti-splat valve kits that they have here. What it does is it overflows the air, anything that gets separated out, to re-burn here in the exhaust, and that way you have less going overboard. It does have this safety backup overboard line, so that if this valve were to get coked up and not allow venting, then the pressure would open up a valve up here, and then it would vent overboard right there. I keep the oil topped off at 6 quarts, and that keeps it from blowing overboard. And from my testing so far, it looks like it'll keep 6 quarts in there for about 20 hours before it shows a little bit low. About every 25 hours, I've put a quart in, and it'll just stay right there. That's the Dynon GPS puck right there. That's the old 250 unit. Easily upgradable to the new WAS unit that they've got for ADSB out. And all you'd have to do is just bolt it in, and then here's the connector for it. You just wire up one of these D-subs, plug it in, and you're good to go for ADSB out. So I have ADSB in to the Dynon, and I have the Dynon transponder, which is capable of broadcasting out. The only thing it needs to be 2020 compatible is that antenna, and there's a very good likelihood that I will have already changed that by the time the airplane is sold. So walking around here, we've got the Vetterman 4-pipe exhaust, and then 2 of those pipes are wrapped for cabin heat to come back into the cabin. Running a Nippon-Denso internally regulated alternator that's rated at 60 amps, and it's real cheap, works fine, don't have any trouble with that. So here's the air intake, air filter, and as you come down, we've got the heavy duty starter on there from Skytech. And then you can get an idea of the servo and the linkage and how everything is plumbed up here. So we've got the fuel line coming in here. I've chosen to mount the red cube back here on the angle. And so the red cube is after all fuel pumps and really seems to read very evenly and accurately. I haven't had any trouble with it right there. You notice that we do have the superior cold air sump, and I'm pretty sure that probably gives us easily 10 more horsepower, and you know, that translates into, you know, 600 miles an hour is my just off the cuff guess. Firewall is pretty straightforward layout as far as where everything has been put. And the only other thing really to note firewall forward is that initially I did have some cracking on the oil cooler, and so I bought a brand new oil cooler and then have beefed this area up, so now you could drag the entire plane just by pulling on the oil cooler itself. Oil temperatures never come above 180 degrees, so we get good flow through there. And you can see these two braces that I fabricated, one going here and then another one coming way back here in order to hold that oil cooler in place. And now it's just rock solid, and there are no cracks and no vibration or anything happening back there. There are no major leaks from the engine. There is just a little bit of seepage from one of these bolts back here, and I haven't been able to isolate exactly where it is. It's enough to get your finger wet, but my guess is it's probably just one of those through bolts going into the accessory case, and maybe just a little bit of oil wicking back out of one of the threads or something. My next option on that would be to run some green wicking Loctite through those, but I haven't done it yet because it really isn't even, I wouldn't even call it an annoyance, although that's all it would be. So there you have it. As always, please let me know if you have any specific questions or want to see anything particular, and I'd be happy to get it to you. Thanks a lot.